Before I changed this, I was stuck, but afterwards everything shifted. This is the story of how one simple habit changed my life forever. A story from a small fishing town, where peace was found in the most unexpected way. Once upon a time, in the cold northern coast of England in a quiet fishing town, lived a man named Callum. He was 31, a fisherman by trade, a dreamer by nature. But lately, he'd lost both his dreams and his calm. Every morning before sunrise, he walked to his old blue boat, the mariner's hope, but there wasn't much hope left in him. He worried about money, about his father's health, about the future, about everything. When night came, he'd scroll endlessly on his phone, trapped in thoughts, trapped in restlessness. He would whisper to himself, "Why am I stuck here? Why does nothing ever change?" Until one day, something did. That afternoon, Callum walked the pier after a failed fishing trip. His nets were empty, his mind even emptier. Then he saw Thomas, the old lighthouse keeper. White hair, wrinkled hands, eyes calm as the sea after a storm. Callum called out, "Thomas, you've lived here all your life, alone in that lighthouse. Don't you get bored?" Thomas smiled. "Ah, lad, the trick is to do one thing at a time and only that thing. When I polish the glass, I polish. When I brew my tea, I brew. That's how you stay alive inside." Callum frowned. "That's it, that's your secret." Thomas winked. "Try it for a week. The sea won't change, but the sea inside you might." That night, Callum couldn't sleep. The wind howled outside his cottage. He got up, walked to the sink, and washed his mug. Slowly, carefully. He noticed the sound of water, the shine of the ceramic, the quiet. For those few moments, the storm in his mind went silent. The next morning, he decided he would do one thing every day with full attention. He started small, tying his net slowly, listening to the seagulls as he worked, watching the sun rise over the harbor before starting his motor. At first, his thoughts still raced. He felt silly, but he kept going. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, he began to change. He noticed the smell of salt and rope, the light bouncing off the waves, the laughter of children running along the dock. He smiled again. He even began to whistle, something he hadn't done in years. That one habit of doing one thing with full attention had begun to calm the restless tide within him. As weeks turned into months, Callum didn't stop with just one habit. He began to see everything as an opportunity to practice presence. When he brewed his morning tea, he'd watch the steam swirl and vanish. When he mended his nets, he focused on every knot, every thread. When someone spoke to him, he truly listened, not waiting to reply, not judging, just listening. He even changed how he ate, no longer rushing meals while scrolling through his phone. He'd sit by the window, eat slowly, tasting every bite as if it were the first, and that's when others began to notice. His neighbors said, "Callum, you seem different, calmer." The local children started waving to him from the dock because he always smiled back. When his father had a rough day, Callum no longer snapped in worry. He sat beside him, held his hand, and said nothing. His calmness began to ripple outward, touching the lives around him like gentle waves spreading from a single stone. He realized that the habit wasn't about doing less, it was about being more alive in the moments he already had. Seasons passed. The sea stayed the same, but Callum did not. He still faced rough waves and long days, but his heart was steady. When storms came, he stayed calm. When nets tore, he fixed them quietly. When others shouted, he listened. One evening, as the sunset painted the sea gold, Thomas walked up beside him on the pier. "You've changed, lad," the old man said. "Your eyes, they're peaceful." Callum smiled and said, "It's funny, Thomas. I spent half my life fighting the sea. Turns out all I needed was to stop fighting my own mind." That night, Callum sat by the window, watching the tide roll in. He opened his old notebook and wrote down 3 lessons, the 3 truths that changed his life forever. Lesson 1. Staying calm is a choice. The world won't slow down, but you can. Lesson 2. Small moments matter. Peace grows quietly, every time you give your full attention to one simple act. Lesson 3. Change begins where you are. You don't need to escape your life, only to see it clearly. Callum smiled, blew out the candle, and whispered, "Before I changed this, I was stuck." But afterwards, everything shifted. Outside, the sea breathed softly, and so did he. If this story touched your heart, try what Callum did. Pick one small daily habit and give it your full attention. You might discover that peace isn't across the sea, it's right here, within you. If you liked this story, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs calm today, and subscribe for more stories that bring warmth to your heart. Until next time, stay steady, stay peaceful. Thanks for watching.